that happens, there is always a wisdom, or there is always a blessing that sometimes we never see because our knowledge is limited, and our knowledge is based on what we see that is apparent. But what is hidden in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what will ultimately come to pass, because He is the all-knowing, the all-wise. Today, in the year 2024, marks exactly 100 years since the abolishment of Khilafah. For some of you who don't know what Khilafah is, this was the system that existed where all Muslims across the globe came under one system. We all followed one leader. It was a state of, if the leader spoke, every Muslim across the world heard and followed. Because in Islam, we are not allowed to stay without leadership. Leadership is extremely important in Islam. If you do not have a leader, you will become worse than the animals that roam the street. Which is why when Allah spoke about creating a vicegerent, Inni ja'ilun fil ard khalifa. Khilafah is a system that ensures guidance. 100 years today exact is when that system was abolished. About 20 years after it was when the Balfour Declaration was made. The Balfour Declaration was the declaration that took a portion of land from Palestine and gave it to the Jews who were then without land. They roamed in Europe after the Holocaust, which the Nazis carried out, especially Adolf Hitler, and no one accepted them. They were pushed everywhere, no one would accept them. Until they went to Palestine. And Palestine existed as a country with its own system, with its own economy, with its people. Muslims, Christians, Jews, they all lived together peacefully. But the then group that fought for this so-called declaration, and the so-called people who were claiming to be peacemakers, but they were really mischief makers. Because how do you sell something that you don't have? How do you give something that you do not have the right to give? This was the beginning of the oppression, the beginning of the apartheid. But what has this current issue done for the Muslim Ummah? It has brought all of us together for the very first time in a very long time. It has brought the entire Muslim world together. But it's not just the Muslims that are rising against what is happening. Even the non-Muslims are speaking up against it. The first country to take the Zionist nation to the ICC was which country? South Africa. They are not a Muslim country. Muslims make less than 5% of the South African population. But they took them to the International Criminal Courts. Why? Because they knew what it felt like to be under apartheid. So they stood up against what they saw was not just apartheid, but a genocide as well. You have countries in the West that for the very first time, the people are coming out to protest. In the UK, the largest protest against what is going on took place in the UK. Over 300,000, 500,000 people. One particular protest, I was there and I saw it and I could not believe my eyes. And they kept chanting one thing: from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Whether we accept it or not, what is happening today has become a blessing because it has revived the humanity in all of us. Whether as Muslims or just people that do not see the sense in the senseless killing of women and children, everyone is rising up today. Look, the truth is, even those that are supporting this Zionist country cannot support them any longer. But they cannot back out as well. Because the point they do that, they know that it is their destruction. But you who thinks you have a nation and the one who has Allah, who is mightier? The one with Allah. So my dear brothers and sisters, what is happening is tragic. But what is the blessing we have seen in this? Allah is making this ummah to rise again. It is causing us to wake up from our slumber and making us to be more conscious of the fact that we have to become more united to defeat and battle an entity that, unless we are together as one, there is no way we can stand for one another. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.